Alarm sirens wailed as Dauntless's armor cracked under the barrage of blazing red plasma. Commander Jack Reynolds raised his hand, signaling a counterattack. Blinding lasers ripped through the darkness of space. They plunged into the eye of the storm, the stronghold of the Void Collective, where every volley claimed lives. Beside them hovered the Ark Project, a biological treasure that could determine the fate of thousands of species. In the next 30 seconds, you'll witness a brutal close-quarters battle in zero gravity, where Deathworlders fight to the last breath. Dauntless adrift in the infinite void. The Dauntless drifted silently through the cosmic sea, a lone warship gliding amidst the stars, its engines humming a low, fading murmur as the fusion reactors powered down to standby. The titanium hull shimmered under the pale starlight, making the ship appear more like a metallic specter than a vessel of menacing ghost crossing the abyss of space. On the bridge, bathed in the soft glow of status panels and navigation displays, Colonel Jack Reynolds stood tall. His hands were clasped behind his back, his expression carved from years of discipline and command. Fatigue etched the faces of the crew around him, faces dulled by 3 months of relentless deep space patrol. Yet Reynolds' eyes remained fixed, scanning the central observation screen, as if waiting for the void itself to blink. They had spent the past 90 days sweeping across the uncharted frontiers, mapping every cosmic speck, every faint nebula. But Dauntless wasn't built for cartography. This 300-meter vessel was Earth's ace in the galactic Wildsa fully armed warship, designed to protect human interests in the ever-expanding edges of explored space. Equipped with the most advanced arsenal known to man, plasma cannons, high-intensity lasers, light-speed ballistic missiles, the Dauntless was both a warning and a promise. Humanity would not be caught unprepared. Through the dim corridors of the ship, crew members moved like shadows, each weighed down by exhaustion. The FTL, Faster Raithani Light, drive still warm from recent use, had just been powered down, leaving behind subtle vibrations that pulsed through the ship's bone. The steady hum of energy converters echoed like the heartbeat of a sleeping giant, a rhythm so familiar it had become a lullaby of survival in the cold. But this day was different. The silence was about to be broken. "Sir," came a voice, hoarse but excited. It was Lisa, the communications officer. Her face lit up with renewed alertness. "We've picked up a signal, artificial, unknown origin, not listed in any Union database. Coordinates place it in Sector 7, Alpha, approximately 2 light years out." Reynolds turned slowly, weariness evaporating in an instant. What remained was the hardened instinct of a Solgera protector. The unspoken creed of humankind lingered in his mind. No cry for help in the silent vacuum of space goes unanswered. "Broadcast it across the bridge," he ordered. A moment later, the speakers hissed with static, then played back a fractured sequence, intermittent pulses, synthetic tones, layered with soft crackles and stuttering modulations. It wasn't noise. It wasn't natural. And more chillingly, it wasn't human. The transmission resembled language, yet none of Earth's decoding matrices could make sense of it. The translation software ran through every linguistic model, every galactic cipher, but the signal resisted all attempts. "Tom," Reynolds barked to the helmsman, "plot a trajectory toward those coordinates. Mark, initiate long-range sensor sweeps. I want to know what we're flying into before we even get close." Tom frowned slightly. "Sir, entering Sector 7, Alpha puts us into the Neutral Expanse. No Union jurisdiction. That's pirate space." "I know," Reynolds nodded grimly. "But this isn't just a rescue mission. It's a statement of who we are." Every crew member aboard Dauntless knew what they were risking. The ship was powerful, yes, but it was alone. No fleet, no reinforcements, no fallback. Out here, amidst the dark matter and ghost stars, survival depended on skill, discipline, and faith. Each encounter with the unknown was a gamble between hope and annihilation. David, the executive officer, approached with measured steps. "Jack, this could be a trap. If we proceed without backup." Reynolds placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "We are the first line into the unknown, David. We don't get to turn away from what might be a cry for help. Not now, not ever. The bridge grew tense, every console flickering as the crew prepared for the shift. The ship rumbled with renewed life. The engines roared to full power, shedding the stillness as Dauntless turned toward the alien signal. "Battle stations," Reynolds called. "Full combat readiness. I want every man and woman alert and focused." "Yes, sir," came the unified reply. As the ship accelerated into the black, Reynolds steadied himself, gripping the side rail against the artificial gravity surge. Through the reinforced glass of the command deck, the stars stretched and twisted, the fabric of space warping slightly as the ship moved with FTL precision. And then came the memories. A fleeting scent of sun-dried grass, the sound of waves crashing against an earthbound shore, the low whisper of wind through trees on a distant hilltop. Earth, home. It felt farther now than ever before, not in distance, but in meaning. Yet no one on the Dauntless regretted being here. For those born of Deathworld, blood those who had survived the harsh crucibles of Earth's many wars and its brutal history, this mission was about more than duty. It was the embodiment of the human spirit. Even if the signal was a trap, even if no life waited at the source, the Dauntless would still go. Because what defines humanity, what sets them apart from the stars, isn't just courage, but compassion. A drive to answer when no one else will. And so the Dauntless moved forward toward mystery, toward danger, toward a signal not meant for any known ear. Whatever awaited them at the other Indole or enemy, revelation or ruin would soon be known. But one thing was certain, Colonel Jack Reynolds would face it, and humanity would be watching. The discovery of a strange distress signal? On the bridge of the Dauntless, the atmosphere tightened like a drawn bow. Lieutenant Lissa, the communications officer, leaned over her holographic console, eyes flickering under the bluish glow, as streams of unfamiliar numbers blinked across the translucent interface. She inhaled deeply, then broke the silence. "Commander, I've detected a signal. It doesn't match any known format we've ever encountered." Her voice cracked in the hushed calm, prompting every head on the bridge to turn. The ambient light pulsed faintly, casting ghostly outlines on weary faces now sharpened by sudden tension. Colonel Jack Reynolds narrowed his eyes, stepping toward Lissa without a word. He stared at the erratic data on her display, each glyph, a shard in some unknown puzzle. The audio feed that accompanied it was stranger still, overlapping tones layered with mechanical clicking, as though blades of metal tapped out an erratic code, occasionally rising into dissonant chimes at fluctuating frequencies. "Artificial," Lissa confirmed, "but it doesn't follow any union standard, not even remotely." Reynolds leaned in, one hand bracing against the edge of her console. Lissa tapped a command, causing the raw data stream to flood across the bridge. "Signal origin, 2 light years out, Sector 7, Alpha," she added. There was a flicker of recognition in some of the crew's eyes. Reynolds saw it and responded at once. "Patch it through shipwide. I want everyone to hear this." A deep, vibrating hum filled the bridge as the analytical systems kicked in. The ship seemed to tremble under the weight of incoming energy pulses, as if the Dauntless itself was reacting. Sharp beeps from the phase meter punctuated the signal's strange rhythm, layered beneath the unsettling screech and clicks of what could only be described as non-human communication. Tom, the chief navigator, squinted at the ship's 3D map. "Sir, if we follow this course, we'll be outside Union-occupied space. This sector is entirely ungoverned." "Buffer zone," Reynolds muttered, "the kind of lawless void where pirates roamed freely, where lost signals went unanswered and ships simply vanished." "It's an artificial signal," he repeated, louder now. "And there are over 100 known civilizations within this spiral arm. None of them claim to have sent it." The bridge fell into a contemplative silence. No one liked venturing into the unknown, unprepared, but curiosity and duty drove them forward nonetheless. Lissa initiated the auto-decoding matrix, prompting a flurry of algorithms to tear into the signal. The system tested galactic Morse variants, cosmic Unicode chains, even the ancient encryption scripts once used by the Dreth species. Each attempt failed. The red notification blinked. "Unrecognized format." She didn't hesitate. "Running backup protocols," she said quickly, already typing. Reynolds stood behind her, recalling the old axiom. Nothing is truly undecodable, only waiting for the right mind and enough time. Outside the reinforced viewport, the stars stared back, as if watching their efforts with silent amusement. His pulse quickened. Was this a cry for help from a forgotten soul? Or bait? Carefully set. "It's colder than our own relay systems," said Mark, the sensor chief, scanning through the data layers. "We'll need at least 2 hours to integrate a proper decoding suite." "Then let's not waste a second," Reynolds said. "Launch parallel decryption, processes forward, decode, reverse model, and apply deep learning extrapolation." Simultaneously, he turned to Tom. "Plot the fastest intercept course. Use gravitational drift from nearby rogue planets to mask our approach. No one can know where we're going." Down on Deck 4, engineers recalibrated systems to minimize engine resonance. The Dauntless began to coast more quietly, slipping through stardust like a silver specter. The echo of their journey left only faint trails of light, and even those would fade. On the bridge, breath slowed, but adrenaline rose. "I feel more awake," Lissa whispered. "It's like each signal we catch is a whisper and invitation." Reynolds nodded. "An invitation or a scream. Either way, we won't know until we arrive." He opened his notebook and flipped to a recent entry 2 days earlier. A report from Earth Fleet had mentioned unusual lifeform energy readings from deep space. It had been dismissed. Now, it resurfaced. Tom scrolled through old mission maps. "We'll be entering comm jamming range in about 6 hours, he warned. "Pirates in this zone will know we're listening." "Then we prepare," Reynolds said firmly. "Activate tactical mode. If it's an ambush, we end it fast and retreat faster." The weapons officer keyed in commands. Plasma banks online. Railgun systems fully aligned. Lissa smiled slightly as she adjusted the transceivers, syncing them with the signal's chaotic cadence. "I've isolated some recurring pulses," she said. "It's rhythmic, like tonal language, pentatonic perhaps." Reynolds murmured, "Stellar music or a new language entirely?" A hush fell over the room as Lissa hit the playback loop. The bridge filled with a strange chorus short, harmonic bursts, almost melodic, interrupted by sharp clicks. The pitch shifted unnaturally, bending in and out like some kind of neural frequency pattern. "It's deliberate," she confirmed. "This isn't background noise. This was crafted by someone aware." Reynolds clenched his jaw, decision burning in his eyes. "Prepare for orbital descent. I don't want to miss a single clue." He turned to David, his XO. "Alert all departments. Full 360-degree scan the moment we arrive. If anything's hiding, it'll have to show itself." The bridge crew nodded. Every person understood the stakes. They weren't just responding to a signal, they might be stepping into something that could shape the future of humanity. Glory or annihilation, both were in play. The Dauntless adjusted its velocity, angling toward the source. Reflected starlight shimmered across the observation bay, casting ethereal patterns on the floor. Outside, the void seemed to pulse, a flickering curtain of cosmic static. Hands hovered over weapon consoles. Heartbeats synchronized with the distant beep of the alien signal. And in that breathless silence, only one truth remained. No one calling for help in the vastness of space would be left unanswered. Friend or foe, the Dauntless would find them. For Deathworlders, there was no higher calling than this: to protect life, to chase the unknown, and to affirm the indomitable spirit of humanity among the stars. Into the uncharted expanse. The Dauntless drifted slowly past the last known boundary of charted space. The ship's sensors lit up with strange distortion patches of fine cosmic dust, far denser than expected, twinkling motes shimmering like flecks of metallic glitter in a sea of black. At the helm, Tom, the chief navigator, glanced at the residual FTL readings, then overlaid the 3D star map. "Commander," he reported, "we've officially entered the buffer zone. No gravitational fields logged, no recorded stellar anomalies. It's a blank slate." Reynolds gave a single nod, his gaze razor sharp. "This is neutral space," he said solemnly. "A no man's land, and a favored hunting ground for raiders who prey on ships like ours." He turned to Mark. "Full orbital sweep. I want every trajectory scanned. Any cloaked vessel out there, we find it." Mark initiated the scan. Bursts of detection pulses shot out into the void, swept the zone, then returned empty. No heat signatures, no radio echoes. But the system painted faint streaks across the map trails where ships had recently moved, yet left no trace of engine, heat, or radar echo. "Phantom signatures?" Mark muttered. "Someone passed through here, but it's like they ghosted their entire footprint." Stealth cruisers, pirate tech, Tom suggested. They use cloaking fields that only drop for split seconds, almost impossible to track. Reynolds remained stoic. Alternate backward scans with forward sweeps. Layer and audio space detectors. If they're using internal radio bursts, even on rare shortwave bands, I want to hear it. On Deck 7, the security team armed up power armor, dual-phase launchers, and stun nets designed to disable enemy energy weapons. Down in the armory, Executive Officer David checked the supply status. 60 plasma rounds and 24 EMP charges left, he reported. If it comes to boarding combat, we'll need to conserve firepower. Reynolds allowed himself a faint smile. Understood. But remember, our mission isn't war. It's to reach someone trapped in the dark. Even if enemies are waiting, we don't go in ready to slaughter. We go in ready to save. The moment felt fragile, like a thread stretched between tension and faith. Suddenly, the ship's defensive system flared to life, initiating active defense mode. On her console, Lessa worked quickly. I've uploaded evasive dodge patterns into the shield logic, she said. We should be able to reduce incoming damage by 30% if attacked unexpectedly. As the Dauntless surged forward, the auxiliary thrusters hummed with a deep, resonant growl. A protective energy lattice began forming along the ship's bow, bracing for atmospheric drag or something worse. Tom adjusted the flight arc, narrowing their descent. Commander, we're passing through a minor asteroid cluster. It's distorting the signal slightly, but the debris will help mask our engine signatures. Good, Reynolds replied. Use every advantage we can. Mark, recheck the signal layers. Could be they're embedding false echoes to scramble our trajectory. Mark initiated the subharmonic analysis suite. After a tense minute, he spoke. Confirmed. 2 distinct echo points. This signal's being relayed, likely bounced off at least 2 unidentified relay stations. That confirmed one thing. Someone or something didn't want the origin traced directly. We may be heading into a trap, Reynolds said. Shift half of our stealth power to the retro thrusters. If we get ambushed, we'll need instant maneuvering. The bridge darkened momentarily as red warning lights flickered. Power was being redirected. Everyone could feel the tension thicken. Distance to target, 60 minutes. The Dauntless passed through a stream of micrometeoroid stinny beads of rock, the size of marble sponging against the hull with muffled thuds. The maintenance crew quickly checked the readings. Side plating scratched, came the report, but primary shielding remains intact. On the bridge, Lissa leaned forward, eyes locked on her deciphering display. The signal seems to be divided into 2 component zones, a looping musical pattern. The other, irregular click-click pulses. If I isolate them, I might be able to extract usable linguistic segments. Reynolds stepped closer. Try matching help, save, us, any universal markers across known species dialects. Her fingers flew across the console. A moment later, the screen pulsed. Words appeared. Lumeri, eternal dawn, void. The bridge went still. Lumeri? Mark repeated. Is that a name? Reynolds' expression shifted surprise, tempered by a sense of wonder. Eternal dawn sounds like a vessel or a civilization, but void? His voice trailed off. It wasn't just a word. It was a warning. The void, he continued, more somber. That could be a threat, a hostile force, maybe even the one who attacked. He keyed into the ship's encrypted system. Send all decoded data to Intel Command. I want a risk assessment on anything labeled Void Collective before we descend. David voiced a concern. Sir, once we approach, we'll fall within engagement range of any ship waiting in ambush. I know, Reynolds nodded. Arm the ECM suite. If we're locked by targeting systems, deploy plasma. Chaff break the lock. Buy us seconds. Tom fine-tuned the final descent trajectory. The stars outside elongated into luminous strands, the galaxy appearing as an endless river of molten light. Final course set, he said, 60 minutes out. Each breath on the bridge felt heavier. We've got 60 minutes, Tom whispered, to find out if someone's truly calling for helper, if this is a very clever lure. Reynolds exhaled slowly, a quiet fire in his voice. Either way, we answer. That's who we are. He turned to Lissa. Send this message on repeat until arrival. This is the Dauntless. We come for help and ready for descent. One by one, the crew affirmed. As the Dauntless plunged deeper into the heart of the unknown, every crew member knew this moment was more than a mission. It was crossing a boundary between the known and the unknowable. This wasn't just survival. It was humanity staking its place in the void. First contact with the Lumari. As the Dauntless decelerated and eased into orbit, the command bridge was bathed in the soft glow of pale blue sensor lights. Before them, breaking through the layers of cosmic interference, appeared a vessel strange and silent. It was nearly 300 meters long, yet nothing about its design conformed to any known Earth Union standard. There were no harsh lines, no armored angles. Instead, it resembled a living entity, its hull composed of smooth curves, cloaked in a semi-transparent material that shimmered with faint cyan light. Mark, the sensor officer, stepped back, eyes wide with awe. Visual contact established, Commander. Its size and shape, it's like nothing we've ever seen. On the central observation screen, the alien vessel floated quietly amidst debrishards of hull plating and ruptured fuel conduits drifting silently in the void, remnants of a violent explosion. Starboard side's heavily damaged, Mark continued. Main engine looks completely offline. Reynolds narrowed his eyes. His voice was low, resolute. We're staring at the source of the distress call. Begin visual inspection procedures. He motioned to Tom to adjust the optical viewport angle. The screen magnified, and more detail emerged. The vessel's surface appeared to breathe, its texture resembling organic film, lined with patterns like leaf veins. Soft pulses of inner light flickered beneath the hull, echoing a slow rhythm like the breath of something once living, now fading. The bridge fell silent. Reynolds inhaled deeply, then gave a calm order. We're not going in blind. Send a hailing message first. Lissa activated the wideband transmitter. Her voice echoed over the open channel. This is Colonel Jack Reynolds, commanding officer of the Dauntless, representing the Earth Union. We've received your distress signal. Please respond with your status, if you can hear this. Seconds stretched. The only sound was the distant hum of auxiliary engines. Then light. A sequence of rapid flashes blinked from the alien vessel's forward Deccan optical code response. Lissa jumped to interpret. They're using directed light signals, possibly their version of Morse code, though simpler. She translated the flashes into text. But one, Mark read aloud, dash, dot, dot, repeated 3 times. Could be hell? Reynolds allowed a small smile. A rudimentary help, most likely. They're reaching out in the most universal way they can. Switch to voice frequency, Reynolds ordered. Let's hear them, if we can. The speakers cracked to life with faint static, followed by a distorted whirring sound. Then a voice emerged, delicate, fragmented, drawn through layers of interference. A soft, breathy rhythm, a melodic tone, then words. Guide Nielu, Eternal Dawn, Life support, failing. Reynolds leaned forward. He repeated the message calmly. Guide Nilu, Eternal Dawn, life support failing. Lissa, he said, run a linguistic cross-parse. Tom hold position at 500 meters. No closer, not yet. The bridge held its breath. Seconds passed. Then, through the translator interface, a clearer message took shape. We are the Lumari. Captain Guide Nilu speaking. Thank you, Earth, for answering. Our chances of survival are low. We request emergency assistance. Reynolds nodded, voice steady and warm. Captain Nilu, this is Commander Jack Reynolds. We will help. Please provide the location of your main deck and safe docking instructions, so we may send a rescue team. Silence returned, broken only by static. Then, Nilu's voice again. Main deck is on port side. Section 4. Airlock is unpowered. Manual activation required. Please send help quickly. David, Reynolds called. Assemble a rescue unit. Kate, take the engineering team. Use the pre-drawn path. Lissa, keep the comms open. Translate everything in real time. David, the XO, gave a sharp nod. Rescue team, gear up. Bring med kits and repair tools. Prepare to cycle through the airlock. Chief Engineer Kate Miller adjusted her visor and turned to Reynolds. I'll lead. Make sure we have enough oxygen pressure for external coupling. You have it, Reynolds replied. Put weapons at passive readiness. The Lumari claim peace will respond in kind. No sudden moves, no threats. Lieutenant Jerry, airlock chief, reported. Airlock sealed. Pressure sink in 30 seconds. Shuttle primed for launch. A soft beep 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 pulsed like a countdown. Outside the ship, a sleek shuttle detached from the Dauntless, bathed in soft blue lights. The boarding team moved as one crossing the threshold from known to unknown. They entered the alien vessel through a shadowed corridor, sealed off from space by artificial atmosphere. Dim blue lines traced the walls, reflecting off smooth metallic surfaces that gleamed like polished obsidian. The air was thick with the scent of scorched circuits, an ocean saltan unexpected combination. Kate inspected the airlock control panel wires frayed, minor breaches leaking microthrusts of vapor. I need auxiliary oxygen and a handheld plasma welder, she said without turning. David nodded and relayed the command. Farther down the corridor, they saw them figures, humanoid but leaner, more delicate. The Lumari stood still, eyes reflecting the blue light like crystal prisms, their postures tense but not hostile. Captain Nilu stepped forward, one slender arm raised in peace. "We apologize," they said, voice trembling. "We are not used to warriors visiting us, but we are grateful." Reynolds answered gently over the open channel, voice steady. "You don't need to fear us. We're here to help." That momentalin, heavy with meaning, marked the beginning of a first contact. The sound of cooling vents, the glow of flickering systems, and the faint breath of two species meeting in a corridor of stars. While Kate worked to reseal the damaged panel, resetting life support, Reynolds knew this was more than a rescue. This was the threshold of something greater. The Lumari had spoken. And now, the next chapter would begin not just of survival, but of the Ark Project. And the looming threat whispered only in fractured signals, the Void Collective. Unveiling the secrets of the Ark Project. As the airlock of the Eternal Dawn sealed behind the rescue team, they were enveloped by a soft, bluish glow emanating from the ship's bioluminescent lighting system. The corridor ahead curved gently, its walls crafted from an organic metallic composite, with vein-like patterns resembling the circulatory system of a colossal organism. Kate Miller and her engineering team advanced swiftly, guided by Guide Nilu, who awaited them beside an enormous door adorned with spiral motifs. "This is the Ark Chamber," Nilu announced, their voice translated instantly through Lissa's interface. "It houses our most precious legacy." The door opened slowly, revealing a vast circular room with a cathedral-like ceiling. At its center, a massive holographic pillar rotated languidly, projecting intricate three-dimensional images of biological structures, cells, microorganisms, and luminous DNA strands. artscouncil.org.uk. Commander Reynolds stepped in first, awestruck by the spectacle. He approached the hologram, reaching out as if to grasp the delicate gene sequences. "What exactly are we witnessing?" he murmured. Lissa, diligently recording data, responded. "This hologram contains genetic information from over 10,000 extinct species." Mark monitored the auxiliary display, noting, "Sequence count 10,472. Archived species include terrestrial, aquatic, avian, even ancient algae and archaea." David, with a tone of admiration, added, "Incrediblea supreme conservation endeavor." The ambient blue light illuminated circular glass cases along the walls, each containing biological samples preserved in a dual-colored DNA pattern gel. Nilu guided the team to a secondary, more sophisticated control panel. "We've collected these samples over 2 centuries across vast regions of space," they explained. "Each species is a testament to a unique genetic journey spanning millions of years." Their voice quivered with a mix of pride and sorrow. Reynolds placed a reassuring hand on Nilu's shoulder, his gaze empathetic. "Your work redefines the concept of biological heritage." Turning to Kate, he instructed, "Assess the storage systems to ensure all chambers remain operational. We must safeguard the Ark Project at all costs." Kate nodded, connecting her analyzer device. Energy levels are stable, but there's a decline in the thermal pump module at Sector 7B. We need to activate the backup reactor. David cautioned. This might be why the Void Collective is interested. They seek not just data, but also the energy source powering this preservation technology. Lissa interjected. Their last message mentioned integration, implying they aim to assimilate ARC technology for their own purposes. Reynolds' expression hardened. This isn't merely Lumari property, it's the ecological future of countless planets. We must remain vigilant. Nilu led the group through a side corridor to a secondary storage room where data backups were continuously replicated. On a table lay a handheld device emitting a green glow, displaying gene encoding processes. We can regenerate cells from this genetic material, Nilu explained. But in the wrong hands, it could become a biological weapon. Reynolds affirmed, "We won't let that happen." The Dauntless is committed to protecting the ARC project. He directed David, initiate collaboration protocols, deploy perimeter security teams, and install additional Union monitoring equipment. David responded promptly, "Understood, sir." Meanwhile, Kate and the Lumari engineers meticulously evaluated the thermal pump module repairs. Their precise movements reflected intense concentration, with welding lights casting reflections on their focused faces. The room was filled only with the soft sounds of welding and cooling fans. Commander Reynolds returned to the holographic display, contemplating the rotating three-dimensional images. He envisioned a future where humanity and the Lumari Collaboratia Conservation Alliance to prevent ecological devastation by any tyrannical regime. The ARC project's mission transcended national and class boundaries. Before departing, Nilu presented Reynolds with a bioluminescent capsulea sample from the extinct Shalmaron bird species of planet Ostia. "Keep this as proof of our trust in humanity," they said softly. Reynolds accepted it with reverence. "We will cherish this gift always." The engineering team successfully activated the backup reactor, restoring the ARC chamber systems to full functionality. Lissa confirmed, "All systems are now at 100%. Reynolds exhaled in relief. "Excellent. We've preserved the heart of the eternal dawn." As the team exited the ARC chamber, a sense of profound responsibility settled over them. Reynolds paused, placing his hand on the smoothly closing door. He understood that the Void Collective would persist in their pursuit, but now, the ARC project, a legacy of a civilization on the brink of extinction, had newfound allies ready to defend it. The Dauntless and its crew had embarked on a new chapter, a tale of camaraderie between humans and Lumari, between warriors and conservationists, navigating the vast darkness of space together. The haunting arrival of the Void Collective and the first warning. Red lights from the sensor console flashed violently as Mark urgently reported, "Commander, 5 FTL signals have emerged simultaneously, about 15 million kilometers away." Outside the ship, the space beyond the dim observation window seemed to tighten with pressure, as if every breath on the Dauntless counted down to the moment of confrontation. Reynolds stood upright, eyes locked on the screen. He turned the sensitivity dial slightly and said, "Show me orbital deviation and concealed weapon levels." Tom immediately displayed a 3D model. 5 ships, each slightly larger than the Dauntless, forming a sharp spearhead formation. Each vessel had 3 plasma turrets, together creating a dense field of firepower. "They're closing in at a 30-degree intercept vector," Tom commented. Residual laser traces indicated these ships possessed high-energy weapons. "Prepare for combat conditions," Reynolds ordered, his voice as cold as steel. The bridge fell silent. Even the hum of the air circulation faded beneath the pounding heartbeat of the sensor technician. Lisa raised a hand, eyes fixed on the comms module. "Commander, the hailing channel is open. They're calling us." All eyes turned to the broadcast console. Reynolds calmly pressed the receive button. A cold, mechanical voice echoed through the vastness of space. "This is Commander Vex of the Void Collective. Your vessel is obstructing our objective. Withdraw immediately or face consequences." The tone was not overtly threatening, it was calculated, like a dagger wrapped in ice. The sound was laced with modulation noise, indicating they were using a proprietary encryption system. Reynolds muttered, "Void Collective." The name Lissa found in the Lumarise signal. They're the real enemy. Outside, 3 of the Void ships had already advanced, black as voids between stars. Their hulls were angular and matte, absorbing all nearby light. Side-mounted plasma turrets glowed a thick crimson. Mark reviewed the images from the latest scan. Their primary weapons can punch through Dauntless's Tier 3 Titan shields. The ship's alarms blared without warning. Emergency lights turned red. The command deck lit up with the fire of determination. "Battle stations!" Reynolds roared. Missile bays, lasers, and railguns began to load. The engineering bay activated ECM protocols to prevent radar lock-on. Vex appeared once again on the main display, his icy blue eyes piercing. "This is your final warning. Stand between the Void Collective and our objective, and you will lose everything. Retreat now." The transmission ended, leaving a stillness that was shattered moments later as the Dauntless rocked violently. Plasma blasts slammed into the shield's bright white flashes flared, and the shielding system screamed under the pressure. Shield strength dropped 20% after only 2 direct hits. David rushed to the shield control console. Shields at 45%. He diverted all auxiliary power to reinforce the forward shields. Meanwhile, Lisa picked up a secondary signal. "They're scanning our hull using high-intensity microwaves, trying to find structural weaknesses." Reynolds responded immediately. "Randomize frequency modulation. Rotate the spectrum every second." Tension escalated on the bridge, but so did the crew's resolve. The haunting voice of Vex still echoed, but no one moved to retreat. Amidst the stars, Reynolds' call, "Hold the line!" rallied every crew member. At that moment, Guide Nilu's voice broke through on a private channel, trembling yet filled with trust. "Commander Reynolds, we don't have weapons. We need your protection. Eternal Dawn, we trust you." That plea ignited something deeper. Reynolds lifted his head, eyes burning. "For them and for the Ark Project," he raised his fist. "Dauntless, under my command, return fire. We will not let the Void Collective destroy the legacy we are protecting." And so it began. Laser cannons blazed, electromagnetic pulses burst forth, and plasma rounds tore across the dark. Though outnumbered, Dauntless roared back, not as a mere warship, but as a symbol of courage, of resistance, of humanity's unyielding spirit. They would not flee. They would fight for the Lumari, for the Ark, for the future. The lone battle of the Dauntless. The first wave of plasma fire from the Void Collective struck like a cosmic hammer. The Dauntless, a lone sentinel in the vast dark, groaned as its forward shields absorbed the impact, the white-hot light flaring and dying within the electromagnetic veil. Alarms screamed across the command bridge. Red lights flashed. Every crew member knew battle had begun. Captain Reynolds stood firm, eyes locked on the tactical display. His voice was sharp and unwavering. "Hold a 30-degree attack vector. Do not let them lock on. Lisa, continue sweeping all frequencies. Mark, target their main forward turret." Every command was a thread in the web of survival. One misstep, and the Dauntless would become space debris. The ship's own plasma batteries roared in retaliation. Beams of coherent energy sliced across the void, forcing 2 void ships to veer off. Their hulls sparked and flickered as their own shields caught the blow. A small victory, but no time to celebrate. Another enemy barrage slammed into Dauntless's port side. The impact left a deep dent in the titanium alloy hull. Mark yelled from sensors, "Hull breach imminent on deck 5." David jumped to reroute shield power. Reinforced forward shields divert 25% power to rear thrusters. The ship shuddered. Metal groaned under the weight of pressure and heat. Below decks, engineer Kate Miller sprinted through the reactor corridor, heading to the damaged electromag conduit. Sparks flew as she reconnected burnt circuits, wiping away ash and sweat. Backup reactor at 80%, pumping energy back into main shields, she shouted through comms. The bridge lit up as life surged back into the defense systems. Reynolds spotted a gap in the enemy formation. Launch EMP disruptors. Aim for their rear engines. Tom, rotate 15 degrees left. Give me the best angle. A pulse of EMP burst into the dark, crackling with energy. One of the void ships stuttered, its lights flickering, as guidance systems briefly shut down. The Dauntless seized the moment and struck hard, regaining the initiative. But Void Collective ships were no rookies. They regrouped quickly, 3 ships reforming in a deadly triangle. From their flanks came focused laser barrages. The Dauntless's point defense system intercepted some, but explosions still echoed through the corridors. On the bridge, Reynolds gritted his teeth as blood trickled from a cut on his forehead. Nearby, Ensign Wilson collapsed after a shard of metal pierced his shoulder. He was quickly dragged to the medbay, but his voice remained steady. "Still ready to fight, sir." Reynolds looked him in the eye, voice low. "You're one of us, Wilson. You hold this line." All eyes turned to the Eternal Dawn, floating defenseless a few hundred meters away. On the emergency channel, Guy Nilu called out, "Commander Reynolds, hull breach sealed, but arc chamber is still vulnerable. We cannot move. Please protect us." "We will," Reynolds responded without hesitation. "Don't move, the Eternal Dawn. Let us handle this." A lull settled between barrages. Reynolds turned to David. "How long can we hold?" David's expression was grim. "2 more enemy waves at best." The unspoken truth passed between them. Deathworlders do not surrender. Then came Void's trump card, a superheated plasma lance, concentrated and focused, targeted at the Dauntless's core. The ship screamed as it twisted under the strike. The plasma punched through the outer hull, casting glowing light through the cracks. Smoke and static filled the bridge. "Execute Omega emergency spin," Reynolds shouted. Thrusters fired in randomized sequence, spinning the ship rapidly in a programmed maneuver. The plasma lance missed its mark, barely grazing the outer layer. Shields dropped to a mere 20%, but they held. Cheers erupted from the crew. "We're not done yet," someone shouted. Seizing the opportunity, the Dauntless released 3 salvos of railgun fire. The rounds tore through space and slammed into the main turret of one Void vessel. A deafening explosion followed. The enemy ship's armor cracked and peeled, spewing flames into the vacuum. It veered off, trailing debris. But there was no time to rest. 2 remaining Void ships advanced aggressively. One flanked from the left, the other held pressure from the front. Tactical sensors screamed, "Shields at 10%!" Mark's voice trembled. "Next hit will breach everything." But Reynolds' eyes burned with unyielding fire. "We still have one tactic left." He slammed his hand on the console. "Overcharge all close-range weapons plasma, shotguns, flechette cannons. Prepare for close-quarter assault." Dauntless blazed in the void like a rising phoenix. Its hull scorched, its shields failing, but its guns never silenced. Flechettes tore through the dark like 1,000 steel needles. Plasma blasts rained in fiery arcs, forming a wall of light between them and the approaching enemy. The point-blank counterattack caught the Void ship off guard. One of them reeled back as its armor buckled. Fire bloomed along its hull. Sections of plating flew apart. It spun, out of control. Reynolds exhaled, blood still dripping down his temple, but a smile played at the corner of his lips. "Hold, fire, hold." The bridge fell into heavy silence. No reinforcements yet. Just the battered Dauntless and the fragile Lumirai ship behind them. Still, the fire in their hearts had not dimmed. The lone battle was not over. And within each Deathworlder beat the same unbreakable rhythm. They would not fall while there was life left to protect. Timely reinforcement by the Earth fleet. As the auxiliary sensor array flared to life with a sudden surge, Lisa shouted from her station, voice trembling with hope, "Commander! 3 FTL signals incoming at high velocity!" The tension in the command bridge shifted instantly. Streaks of blue light shimmered through the fabric of space ripples, marking the end of a faster-than-light jump. Everyone held their breath as the distortion collapsed. Emerging from the haze were three massive vessels, their metallic gray hulls gleaming under scattered starlight-floating citadels of salvation. Despite the blood still dripping from the wound on his forehead, Commander Reynolds allowed a thin smile. "That's the Terminus, the Resilient, and the Harbinger," he said, naming the iconic warships of the Earth Fleet Battle Group. He turned to David. "Disable our refraction cloak. Let them see we're alive." David nodded and issued the command. The ECM systems powered down, revealing Dauntless's signature. Immediately, the Earth Fleet vessels flashed their battle lights and let out a thunderous hum of electronic fury as they surged into the fray. A voice came through the ship's internal comms, deep and commanding. "Dauntless, do you copy? This is Admiral Marcus Stone aboard Terminus. We've got your back. Hold your ground, we're coming in." Reynolds answered without hesitation. "We welcome your firepower, Admiral. We're shielding the Lumara, please anchor our flanks." A firm "Roger that" echoed back, calm and unwavering. Terminus took the lead, unleashing a barrage of twin-barrel railgun fire. Each hypervelocity slug traced arcs of white across the void, slamming into Void Collective vessels. The Harbinger and Resilient fanned out in formation, surrounding the enemy in a sweeping arc. Plasma cannons from the Harbinger roared to life, carving the battlefield and splitting the Void's advance into fragments. The tide shifted. The Earth Fleet's wedge formation became a steel wall between the enemy and the Lumari vessel. "Dauntless, follow me," Reynolds commanded. "Let's harass the retreating ships while our allies press the advantage." Tom activated the sub-thrusters, maneuvering Dauntless between the Resilient and the Eternal Dawn. Close enough to lend support, far enough to avoid direct fire. The battlefield transformed. The Void Collective, once dominant, now faced multiple angles of coordinated fire. On the starboard flank, Terminus struck Truett's railguns, disabled a Void ship's main turret, sending it spinning off axis. Resilient followed with a precise laser strike, slicing through its weakened shields and detonating the internal systems. The ship exploded in a blossom of debris. Kate's voice came through, energized. "Shields restored to 80%, reactor stabilized. Medbay is running emergency triage Wilson, and the other wounded are in care." Reynolds exhaled, eyes darting to the medical monitor. He saw blood suspended in 0G like crimson mist, but his relief was palpable. On board Eternal Dawn, the Lumari stood silently as they watched the unfolding rescue. They observed every missile, every beam of light, with wide, shimmering eyes. Guide Nilu whispered, awestruck, "They're not just protecting us, they're giving us hope." In the soft, ambient light of the bioluminescent corridors, gratitude glistened in their many-faceted eyes. Meanwhile, the last 3 Void vessels attempted to retreat. One was struck by the Resilient, its guidance system obliterated. Reynolds seized the moment. "Do not let them escape with ARC data. Harbinger, intercept the lead ship. Terminus, cut off their exit vector." The pursuit was brief. Under relentless crossfire, the Void Collective was dismantled dome fragment at a time. The final wreck vanished into the FTL mist laid by Resilient as a trap. And suddenly, silence. The stars returned to their natural stillness. Wreckage floated like silent tombstones across the battlefield. Dauntless and Eternal Dawn remained in the heart of it all, scarred, but intact. Only the faint hum of life support and the soft ping of environmental systems filled the bridge now. Reynolds looked up at the flickering battle monitor, blood and sweat crusting over his brow. His voice was quiet, but certain. "We survived. The ARC project is safer now, but the fight is far from over." As the 3 Earth Fleet ships formed a defensive ring around Dauntless, Admiral Stone's face returned to the command display. "Well done, Dauntless. The area is secure. Prepare for diplomatic talks. The Council awaits. The Lumari will need formal representation." Reynolds nodded solemnly. "Understood, Admiral. We're ready." The atmosphere on the bridge shifted again. The sound of weapons winding down was replaced with a quiet hum of anticipation. The war was paused, but the story was only just beginning. Consequences, new alliances, and the future. As the last echoes of battle faded into the void, the Dauntless drifted through the aftermath, its hull humming with the soft whir of recovery systems. Shards of shattered metal floated gently beyond the viewport, catching the light like drifting embers in space. Inside the bridge, the once blaring red emergency lights had faded, replaced by a soft white glow signaling that core systems were slowly coming back online. Yet a heavy silence lingered. 3 brave souls had fallen. 23 more were injured and undergoing treatment in the medbay. Among them was young Officer Wilson, his face stained with dried blood and sweat, refusing to rest strapping on his medkit again to aid his crew. His image was etched into the hearts of every survivor aboard. Commander Reynolds walked quietly down the dim corridor, pausing outside the medbay door. His hand rested on the frame as he gazed in, watching the wounded float in their zero-G beds, connected to humming life support machine. The gentle hiss of oxygen, the rhythm of breathing it, reminded him that no matter the cost, life remained the most precious thing of all. Outside, Dauntless security and Lumari bio teams worked in tandem, scanning every piece of debris for traces of bioweapons or pathogen contamination from the Arc Chamber. Engineer Kate Miller and her Lumari counterparts had deployed a mobile lab and completed over 100 safety scans. The results were clear. The environment around Eternal Dawn was safe. Standing beside Reynolds in the observation deck, Guide Nilu spoke softly. "Because of your courage, the Arc project endures. We will never forget what you've done." Reynolds nodded, his voice calm but resolute. "We simply did what was right. Protecting hope for the future. That is our duty." Above them, the 3 warships, Terminus, Resilient, and Harbinger formed an unbreakable ring of defense. On the bridge of Dauntless, Admiral Stone led a brief memorial ceremony. He called the names of the fallen, lit 3 virtual candles, and gave a moment of silence beneath the eternal night sky. The sound of digital bells rang gently, echoing across the chamber like a hymn of triumph veiled in mourning. Then Stone turned to the gathered officers. "We were victorious, but at a price. Let us carry their memory forward, and let it fuel our mission from this day on." That very evening, within the Grand Chamber aboard Terminus, an emergency diplomatic summit commenced. Representatives from 7 interstellar civilizations joined Earth's delegation. Among them, the Lumari, 2 sentient species from Orion Alpha, aquatic beings from Titan Force Oceans, and 3 other advanced societies. The hall shimmered with crystalline light. Transparent domes opened to reveal the stars outside, glowing with pale violet nebulas. Every seat was filled with quiet anticipation. In the center, a new flag was raised, a symbol of unity. The Earth emblem joined with stylized Lumari wing. Admiral Stone began the summit. "Today, we gather not only to safeguard the Arc project, but to forge a lasting alliance zone dedicated to protecting life, advancing biomedical science, and preventing the abuse of genetic knowledge for destruction." Guide Nilu took the floor next, projecting a massive hologram that rotated slowly above the center dais. Strands of DNA from the Shalmaron bird, the plain strider beast, and over 10,000 extinct species shimmered in radiant blue. The delicate curvature of life's code spun like constellations, fragile, beautiful, irreplaceable. One by one, the delegates spoke. The Aquarii pledged ecological balancing technology for galactic oceans. The Orion Alpha Monarchs offered their gene-reactive tech for healing extinct ecosystems. The Wagaru, masters of deep space communications, promised to donate a new interstellar transmission array. The remaining civilizations vowed to train biosecurity officers and provide surveillance support for Arc Chambers galaxy-wide. Each speech became a piece of a greater mosaic, a vision of a united galaxy, with each race offering their own unique gift to protect the Arc. Then Reynolds stood, his voice steady. "Humanity has learned something vital, that brute strength is only one part of survival. Compassion, unity, and purpose These are our true weapons. Earth volunteers to lead this alliance not as a ruler, but as a faithful companion. Let Dauntless and the Earth Fleet serve as guardians, while each of you helps grow and protect the Ark project. The room fell into reverent silence. Then, one by one, representatives stepped forward and signed the Galactic Biological Preservation Accord 21 clauses of shared duty, rapid response, data transparency, and joint defense protocols. Each signature activated a wave of holographic light, rippling like stardust across the chamber dome. When the last stylus clicked into place, a new chapter had begun. The summit closed in warmth and unity. A modest celebration was held in the observation lounge, overlooking the galactic spiral arm. Reynolds, Nilu, and Admiral Stone stood together, toasting with synthetic wine infused with star lily essence. Nilu whispered, "We've opened a new era where hope never fades." Reynolds raised his glass, "And it shall echo across the stars." As the lights dimmed and the hall emptied, only the stars remained silent witnesses to the birth of an interstellar alliance. Commander Jack Reynolds stood on Terminus's observation balcony, fingers brushing the cool glass. He thought of Earth, its lush forests, endless seas, and bustling cities. But more than that, he thought of a species that was no longer alone. Humanity had found its place among allies, protectors, and visionaries. Together, they would defend life, preserve knowledge, and answer every call for help in the cold darkness. Reynolds drew a long breath, gazing at the constellations. The future was calling with infinite promise. And though the voyage of Dauntless may have ended, the song of the Alliance had only just begun. In every Deathworlder's heart, the flame still burned, guiding humanity towards stars no one had yet dared to reach.